on this 712 chisel plow, the bolts that hold the axle to the frame, you can see them dangling there. It had worn out the bushings on the inside, and I had to find these bushings. There were only a few supposedly in the United States, and had to weld on the axle side where the hinge eyelet flange is and beef it up so that the bolt did have some material to grab hold of and hang on to that axle. Also, there will be a rotating bushing inside of the other bushing that's driven in. The bolt that goes through this bushing, it looks like a heavy wall piece of pipe. It tightens up against that bolt, tightens up against that bushing, and it allows it to rotate inside of that outer bushing that you're looking at there that's been cut out and replaced.
Okay, what I've done, if you can't tell, I've cut that bushing out to where it takes the tension off of it. And you can barely see, but right here, I didn't touch it with the torch because I didn't get hot. I only got this hot right here. I cut that loose. I want to pop them out, and then I'll put new ones in. You got to be real careful with it. You only want to get this hot, this ring. There was another one inside of this one. I had to cut it too. After they were cut, you take your chisel plow, take your chisel or a punch, and you tap over here, and you tap over here, tap over here, opposite of this, and equally drive that all the way out. And then we'll insert the new one. Okay, then this has been tapped out. Now, this has, if I get a hold of it here, this has a ridge right here. We want this ridge on the inside of this bracket right here. That way it don't slide back out when this is bolted up. Same way on the other side, it'll flip around the other way because of the way that the hinge is made. These will never come back out. So this one here is going to go in this way. And it's starting to go in. It's in there. I had to drive it in a little bit more. It's tight. That's what it's supposed to be. We'll drive it in a little bit more. And then we're going to tackle the other one over there.
This piece of metal that I'm cutting is the inner bushing. It is very hard steel. You can see by the spurs of the spark. At the end of the spark, if you follow it flying there, it'll explode into several little bitty spurs. And that tells you that it is a high carbon steel.
All right, this is not exactly the bolt up on that 712, but this bracket here simulates the axle bracket and this bolt. This is the spacer that goes over the bolt. Now, I had to make that because John Deere didn't have any of these. Now, this is just a simulated piece. I would not have that in there, that slot. So that goes in there. It's a spacer. The bolt tightens up and jams that up like that, tight up against the axle. Now this piece here is the outer bushing, and it slides in this way and bottoms out on that ridge. So imagine that the steel is wrapped around this, and I forced it in there. So what happens, I was trying to show you, see that gap? When we tighten this bolt up, the machine will be able to rotate around back and forth like that. And we'll put a big washer over here. And this isn't a locking nut, but it should be a locking nut. And if I got enough thread, I should. Okay, that'll be tightened up. And this is all metal here, wrapped around. This is the outer, and this washer's on here. And that washer keeps that inner bushing from sliding out. It could be up against that nut, but it's best to have a big washer on there. And this will rotate back and forth around there like that when you tighten it up. It'll be able to move and spin as the axle goes up and down. And I'll show some more of it here in the video. All right. I think it's October 13th, Saturday morning. It's snowing outside. And the bushings are in. There is the roller sleeve that you can see. Let me see better. This is the bushing right here where my fingernail's at. That's hardened sleeve bushing. And then this is like a spacer sleeve bushing. So it rotates inside of that. And both of them are on. We're hooked up. I had to heat the axle up just a little bit. Probably about 300, 400 degrees max. I didn't get it cherry. Just warm enough so that it moves. Don't want to take temper out of it. We'll wire wheel that and paint it John Deere green.